Okay, so hello everybody, and welcome to episode 65 of the SparkCast. Joining me today from beyond the grave is Spark Thomas, who died last week, so he couldn't make it, but he's back now.
That is true. Well, I mean, it worked out. I mean, it was like my technically it would have been my off week anyway, but I did want to join you guys a lot on after the announcement Sparkcast, but let me make sure I get you muted. Yep, you're muted. Okay, cool. So I have chat and I can read chat now. Sweet, yeah. So sorry I missed last week. I was in chat though, and I did watch. I enjoyed being. It made me feel like I was like just back in the old days when I was like watching Sparkcast. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, trolling as usual. Thomas the
hmm
Troll.
Yep.
Uh,
The other thing is, so it's been 2 weeks, so growing this thing in, growing it back.
yeah, me too. Except I won't go into too much details, but basically leave the area that I want to have be most thick when I start growing in the rest of the beard.
Nice.
Anyway,
Yeah. Looks good.
um,
I'm seeing it 30 seconds ago, but I can see it.
oh yeah, it's total. I don't know, awesome man face. Anyway, so going into Project Spark, because that's what we're here for. Um, unless we want to talk about Destiny for a little while, we can do that too. No. Uh, okay. So the first thing I guess we'll talk about is your impressions, because we got Brian's thoughts on the turnover last week. So to you, what was your thoughts about the turnover and the removal of production of content and removal of the marketplace?
Yeah. So no, that's a great question. So I mean, so when the team had thought about things for a long time, and it was a tough decision. It definitely. I mean, people were thinking about it, and stuff was talked about, like as a being a platform and opening it up, and should things be free? I mean, these were conversations that has happened for a long time. Of course, we never really thought that was going to happen. That's why we planned for like the year one edition and things like that. And then, all of a sudden in around August or so, it would people got together and talked about discussions, and finally like that route was chosen. Um, I, sure it does suck that like content, there is a new content coming. Like, of course, we all love more DLC and more things to play with. I mean,
Hell, people
it's
were
like,
just asking for the owlbear just because they wanted more stuff.
right, yeah. I mean, it's right. It's like kind of like a toy box, and you want the new latest and greatest, and you keep getting things in, and it's like everything's a new toy, and you want to play with it and do everything you possibly can. And it's not great when you find out that the toy box is now at its pretty much at its size it's going to stay. It's not going to continue growing on that front.
Well,
So
it's kind of like
and
a
that's
double-edged sword though, because on one hand, it sliced out the people who were cut in a bad way were the people who already had a lot of stuff and were just waiting for the more stuff. But on the other hand, it helped other people where like .org had seen a whole lot more activity when people were saying, "Oh, I now have everything," from having nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the negative part. Like that's the part in me, right? That's like, oh man, I would love to grow that chest. But it's a really great opportunity to give that chest of content to our other users, and to everybody, right? Like, and bring on new users. Like, it's never been easier to collaborate anymore. Like, I remember when Lady Lex UK was doing a like mechanics she had mechanics level set up where she had people try to make Tomb Raider and people try to do BioShock, and I tried to do a BioShock one, and I made like the turret thing
Turret.
where you could hack it and it would switch to your team and attack your enemies for you. It's actually really cool. Like, it turned out pretty cool, if I do say so myself. But with that, like I remember trying to give it to Lady Lex, and she couldn't put it in her world even because she didn't have the DLC required. And I can't remember what it was. I think I used the anvil from Legendary Arsenal, and this is like a year ago now. But like that, DLC was always a challenge as you were trying to collaborate. Like, who owned what, and is my world DLC free, and
Oh
people
God, I hated
arguing
those
about, yeah.
discussions.
Oh man, it like and of course, right, like our game too, there was weird things that would happen where it thought there would be a license in that game, and there was like and it would lock you out of your creation. That was like the epic mole problem or whatever it's called. I know there's like a community name for it, but like that whole thing for weeks that people were locked out of
months.
their own stuff. Yeah, bad things.
Well, it was like a variety of bugs, right? So it was like a variety of bugs that did the same thing essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't exactly one bouncer bug. There was a bunch of
Bouncer
bouncer
bug.
bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Exactly. So, with that, it's really nice after this update to have that not be a problem anymore. And and it's a change in priorities, right? Like people aren't customers and that like whole lingo and trying to business it and all those ideas can just get left because they're not important anymore, which is really cool. I think Project Spark is a creation engine first and foremost, and it's cool to not be able to concentrate on that and people not asking like how much is this going to cost and I really think this would be cool to see in schools, right? Like that's
mhm.
we hear that all the time. Like I'd love to see this in a classroom and classrooms are not particularly great places to be like, and here's a marketplace where you can purchase stuff,
That's true.
like that's not anything that you would want to see in education. So
I
it's
thought you were gonna say that would have been cool. You're tired of people saying that would be cool. I'd like to pay the $5 for that instead of $6. Oh my God, $1. Come on, people. You know, it's like microtransactions. It's like there's an Google thing. Microtransactions are the only time when you care about $1. Every other time you're like $200. That sounds like a good deal to me.
yeah,
Yeah,
like Uh, I mean yeah, it's just funny, right? Where like you're fighting over $5 or $6, but then if you are looking at phone prices, you're like, oh, that one's only $100 more. That kind of like, or when it's cars, right? That's only $5,000 more. Or when it's a house and it's only $50,000 more.
and that's only like $20 a month on the mortgage.
Yeah, for 30 years.
Yeah. So
So I don't know. It's funny how that works. Like, I mean, my microtransactions is it can. I think there's games you can pull off and do it well. I I don't know if Spark did that. I don't know if Spark accomplished that or not. I think it. We were. We tried this model, a free to play model. With in-game purchases. On a genre of games that hasn't been done before. This create engine,
well,
more
kind of.
casual audience, what?
Kind of. It's been done to an extent with like Little Big Planet where they're selling more sock
Yeah, I
skins.
guess, but they're also selling their base game right for 60
That's
bucks.
true. That's true.
And we didn't do that. We were definitely a free to play title. Um,
I wonder if
and
we could have gone the route of like the StarCraft engine where they sell you the game that comes with a level editor, and the level editor will let people make things what they call the arcade, and
mhm.
then they also sell a standalone app that lets people have free access to the arcade.
That's
So
that's cool. We are basically our game though would be the arcade version of that anyway, right?
that's
Because it's
true.
better.
But it would
No,
have
I
people.
mean I kind of think I don't know. I mean this is me just talking personally, so this is not like Team Dakota, so just remember that. Even though that there's a Team Dakota like label right here. But like I think Project Spark probably I think it would have probably accomplished more if it was sold as like a Minecraft-ish kind of way, like of $20, package, and then from then on you just received everything that was coming. A low buy-in, but there was a buy-in, and then everything else you just the game grew and you grew with it. So there you wouldn't ever hit paywalls and things like that in game, which is
Or even if
fine.
it was
Most
$50, like
games.
the year one bundle, I think that would have been more than acceptable to
Yeah.
most
Oh,
people.
yeah. I mean, I just say $20 because it's like a lower barrier to entry. Now we're totally free, right? So, like, I think that shows that a concentration has always been like I know we had money in game and there was things to buy and all that. But I want you guys to know, like, from me and from the community, like, revenue was never ever priority one. Um, at all. So like it's always been about like community focus and engagement for us.
If
It's
anything, it seems
really
like you
true.
guys were trying to figure out what people wanted by having something, people having to purchase them with either in-game currency
Yeah,
or
like
with.
honestly, like the business part of it was about like seeing what value creation is there and what people were looking for, and it was more of an indicator to us of what people wanted. Right, like so by putting it having people, right, it's like it's an old adage, right, but people vote with their dollars, and that's really true, and you can see that when you have a business model, but that's like revenue's never, been the main goal of Project Spark.
The
So
problem
just
was people were buying everything,
yeah, I
regardless
th
of how much they wanted it.
yeah. So it's funny because like that was kind of an immediate reaction, was like, well, how are you guys gonna make money now and all that, that kind of question. And the answer is we're not. We're that's the fortunate part. We're not a startup company that has to make money in order to pay its employees. Like we're part of Microsoft, and Microsoft has a lot of nonprofit entities inside of it that are, all about Microsoft as a brand and about education and getting people, going for like that kind of thing. So, that's part of our focus turning toward education, right? And that's like how you continue to exist. So I mean, we bring up, I think we have done a decent job talking about it a little bit, maybe, maybe in calls or on this, on maybe on the forums, but like Kodu is a very good example of kind of Project Spark. So Kodu, right, is our almost the father of Spark, and Spark's kind of the more evolved version of that and the newest and latest kind of version of Kodu. But Kodu Game Lab, was and is current. You can still play around with it. It's an education tool, that introduced like the code language that we know. Um,
Kodu, actually,
yeah, exactly. Um, and they were pretty much always an education app from the beginning, really. And that was introduced 7 years ago, and it's still
hmm
going and still getting updates and is huge actually in the education space. And that is where that's kind of the future for Spark, is still continuing to get updates, really try and get into education space. That's what we're working towards on that front. And then being a really, awesome thing that still exists for everybody to keep making really cool stuff and having a really active community. That's one thing we want to keep up for sure.
So Braston wants to know how the standalone installer is coming for like education purposes.
We're working on it. That is definitely a priority for us. Is that's obviously it's like a new version of Project Spark in a way. So definitely know that that's a lot of work. Doing a version of Project Spark that's independent of the like the store, and we also want to make it independent of Microsoft accounts, so you wouldn't have to log in if you don't want to. So, which is really important for the classroom because you have students who you don't have to go through a whole account creation process. Like you should just jump right in and just go. And of course, we also are. I think we already brought up how we want the standalone to be also on Windows 7 because there's obviously a huge base out there in schools who aren't as quick to move,
To Windows 10.
to yeah to update. And that's not most of the time it's not ever because um, they like are choosing not to. It's mainly because like resources and because like programs that they already exist on are already there and established, and it just takes time for that stuff to go.
Yeah,
So I mean that's the main thing. Like, and that's why I mean when we want to be like used all over the world, we don't want to have to be only on like on the latest and greatest hardware and things like that. I mean, we're kind of fortunate. Like Project Spark is a big app compared to Kodu, but when you compare it to like other things, it's actually relatively, like on Xbox One, Project Spark now is only like a 2.4 gigabyte download versus I think the latest Force is like almost 50 gigs. Um, so keeping it like small is really helpful to you for deployment and getting it out there. So hopefully the standalone is even smaller actually. It'll be cool. The standalone won't have it should not be connecting to services. That's probably we will probably lose that ability, so it'll be straight about creating. And what you could do is take that level and actually take it into the other versions that actually can share and have like feeds and things like that. But without having like a Microsoft account associated with your level creation, it wouldn't play nicely at all with our other builds, basically.
gotcha. But it would
Yep.
still work with like a something like SparkShare, where you
Yeah,
can.
that's exactly. So SparkShare would allow it to be shared,
For
in
those who
which
don't know, SparkShare is a community-made application that lets people share assemblies and entire levels with each other through this interface outside of Spark itself.
Mhm.
It's by
Yep.
Psycho Killer, interesting name for a person who's helpful, um, and who also made the bug report application for called
Yep.
Fly
Fly
Spray.
spray.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so I guess it's a good time to move along to the next topic, kind of related. I know this is something that's near and dear to your heart because you worked on it a lot. The achievement changes.
Yep.
So,
I worked on those to get those done. So yeah, so achievements were important to us to actually, we realized that the game was getting changed in a big way. And first thing, red flag is like there's a bunch of achievements that are just not possible anymore. So we saw those and we're like, okay, we need to make these unlockable for people. Most of those have all been converted into what we call thank you achievements. There's a reason they're really easy, and the reason is because we want you to just get them. Like we're not trying to add more challenge or what have you to the game. It's about making sure that these achievements don't stay unlocked in a total unlockable state. So that's the first part. And then once we were revisiting achievements and we knew we were going to do that, well, we were like, why don't we address the achievements that people have been frustrated with a long time, things that lead to negative player behavior, like spamming the feeds, things like that. So we also took the opportunity to look at, you know, the download achievements, the rating achievements, and make adjustments there. Some of those are also very much thank you achievements where you go in, you do a very simple task, and you get the score. Um, it's not obviously like it wasn't planned from the beginning to be like that, right? Like, or else we have never changed it. But we needed to make that adjustment just based on feedback from people. So I know there's few definitely people in the community who are not happy with the achievement changes, especially for people who were really aggressive on getting them all, and it's like a badge of honor. But we didn't want to only have 20 plus people earn these achievements. We felt like it was more important to correct player behavior for creation going forward. Like that's the thing. We're truly a creation engine. We're about creating awesome things, and the achievements are kind of this side thing that's in Spark, which are also really cool. But the concentration is having great things get surfaced, and we don't want that compromised at all.
well, of the people that have been I've seen be upset with the achievement changes, I only know of one who got the achievement legitimately without exploiting anything, and the other people who
Yeah,
are
I mean,
upset with
I,
them
I
are
definitely know more than one. I mean, I'd say more. I'd say more than half of the people who have, the Hitmaker achievement is the 50,000 downloads. One is the notorious achievement we have.
but
Um,
only two people got it legitimately. So the
I
one
I'd
person,
say more than that. Like, there's 20-ish people who've gotten Hitmaker, and I'd say 10 plus got it legitimately.
I'll be surprised if that's actually if that's legit. Oh, okay. Um, in any event,
Yeah, no, there's definitely more people who've gotten it like legitimate. But I you know, regardless of that, like it's more important that we have, just it's more important that we have people not, doing negative behavior that affects others, and so and
that was the
there's been a couple,
priority.
yeah, that's the priority. There's definitely been some comments on a few achievements that are left remaining in the game that we did not change, and as far as for those, we like so Rising Star is one of those, which is get 100 downloads within 24 hours. We felt like that one does not create negative player behavior because you have no inclination to actually spam feeds for that, because
Except it does give you, the more you spam, the more chances you have of getting it.
usually what happens, like, so without ratings being shown, like this is a very very easy player behavior, like for people who play Spark, right? If I go on the feeds and I see 4 worlds by some guy in a row, I know that I'm not going to play any one of those probably because I know they're spamming. Or
Well,
like, right, like,
that's you as an informed user. It doesn't mean that you as a new user who just found out that Spark is giving away everything for
yeah,
free.
yeah, I get it. I mean, the point with that is if you make a cool world, you have a pretty good chance of getting the 100 downloads in 24 hours. You really do. Like that we in that that one we have left untouched. I mean, we'll watch it if people still are doing crazy things because of it. I mean, we'll see. But there's really no good way to game that achievement either because so right now if you remix, you won't you're not going to show up where you want to be anyway in the feeds to get that much for 100 rating. So there's that. You
So
you really do have to make something cool that stands out, and it has to be original to get that achievement.
I don't think we're going to agree on this, but moving on to the next question of
Oh, sure.
what's to stop people from spamming worlds? This sounds like a topic that may should have been addressed this week.
It was addressed, hopefully. So we're still looking at feeds on what we can do. So there's just know that the technical things could happen still that we could change depending on how we see. I mean, we just did a big feed change, but of course there are new rules, so we have to watch how that happens. Um, but we're also, stepping up our moderation of basically low quality remixes. So that's the number one problem that leads to spam in the feeds. We have put up a blog post. We put it up last night or yesterday for people. So I think it's a very fair moderation policy, and it's very simple that don't have more than three low quality remixes, and we're defining low quality remixes of basically 0% remixes or ones that make no demonstrable change to the experience of the original creation. So if you have more than three of those, we will um, put you on a 7-day probation from uploading UGC, which means you will not be able to upload any UGC for a week. And at that point, so you'll probably be like, well, what's going on? Why can't I do that? And that's why you have those things on your account. We're not going to remove those things from your account. It's kind of up to you to do that. But what happens is if you get that ban and come back and then continue to upload 0% remixes, we have a record of that first ban, which constitutes your warning. If you continue to do that, we will come in and remove all of those low quality creations and we will permanently revoke your ability to do uploads, which is terrible, right? Like that, if you're an achievement hunter, you will no longer be able to get a lot of achievements and you're just stuck and won't be able to get 100% completion. Um, and you just lose your ability to partake in the Project Spark community in a big way. Like you can still play things and create, but you can't share, which is terrible. But we really want to be the creation engine that has high quality stuff and it makes it easy for players to find fun things.
So
And
will people be able to find these 0% remixes as easily as the legitimate versions?
well, what do you mean, like in
Like
the
in the
feed?
feeds, either
Well,
through feature.
the plan is that they won't be able to find very many because they're going to be gone.
Well, in general, like if somebody, like even if someone uploads one or two zero
Mm-hmm.
percents, will
Yep.
other users still be able to find those 0% levels in the feeds?
You it depends. It's not very easy. Like that's the thing. So it's okay to do a 0% remix if you're like collaborating. That's why we have the limit of three. But yeah, so like if you're thinking like newest, new and rising, and those types of things, those have actually been updated, so they should not show remixes at least at this point. Um, Trying to think, newest doesn't show remixes for sure. I don't think know about the other two yet. Those have been in flux this week as we've been watching some of the changes with moving to all new, free content, right? That was definitely going to be, we knew that was going to be a growing pain coming into it about the 0% remixes. So, probably actually the place that you'll see most of them is actually in the related tab. So, whenever you're on a creation page and you have like the choice to play or remix, there's like the related tab. A
Hmm.
lot of times, 0% remixes will actually show up there um, because we have really no control over that. It's just depending on tags and things.
Gotcha.
But you really shouldn't really see too many. And if you do see them, so if you see a low quality remix, feel free to report it. We
Using
will.
the report as offensive button inside game,
Yep. So that is against our policy now. So you can definitely report that to us. That'd be awesome.
and that'll remove
And
it from the
also,
feed.
it'll remove it from your feed, so you'll never see it again too.
But you'll
And
be the one, you or Thomas will be the one that goes through, looks through those 0% and says, yep, that's definitely 0%, click delete.
Yep, that kind of thing. Yep, exactly. So
Um,
I do want to show um achievement. So there is one exception that we are doing is 0% remixes, low quality remixes can still will not count against you as if you include achievement in the title. And this why is that? Because achievement in the title will appropriately sort that into a special feed where it won't be in any other feed. So achievement hunters could create their worlds and then go to that and, basically collaborate. Oh man, I did not realize I just covered up the camera. I was wiping off a thing on the laptop. Sorry, I just saw it 30 seconds later. Sorry guys.
he smashed us all.
I know I just smashed everybody. But yeah, so include achievement in the title if that's what you're doing and you'll protect yourself that way. But
Otherwise, you'll be subject
yeah, I
to.
mean, well, we're stepping up our moderation on that.
And the other topic that's related to feeds is the removal of ratings from the display on the feeds themselves of each level. So there is still a rating, and it's still sorting the
Yes.
levels in the feeds, but it's just not displayed to each
Yep.
user.
Yep. So we're still using rating to help us sort feeds. Granted, it is a lot less priority than it used to be. We're using a combination of like downloads and favorites and things like that just to get a better result for the feeds. But ratings still do exist, but they are hidden now. And we felt that was important because one, we saw a lot of good creations get bad ratings, and still to this day, we can't tell you exactly why that would be. Um, Except for, I really don't know. I can't, I don't even have a good guess, honestly. Like sometimes just stuff is criminally lower in rating than it should be.
A
Um,
key uh, uh, example of that would be Remembrance by Nini.
yeah, Remembrance by Nini. I think like Omniforce is like an easily a 9, and I think that's sitting at like a 6.3 right now.
That's easily in competition for the best game ever made in Spark.
Yeah. So
So
like it's stupid. Yeah, like well, I could say it, whatever. It's stupid, right? It's dumb that those are not getting great ratings. So we're basically taking more control of the feeds. We're hiding that number because I feel like that number also deters people from playing stuff when they see a 4.0 or even a 6.0, right?
even if it's a great game, they'll see that 4.0 and think, "Oh, other people have said they don't
Yeah.
like this. I
Yeah.
won't like this."
And I think there's kind of a knee-jerk reaction right now to say like, oh, we want the ratings back because how I don't know what else how to play things or find good things, and the truth is we're like like think of like YouTube. Like YouTube, there is an up and down vote, but you never are seeing that even prior to going to a video. Like you click on a video to watch based on its image, the thumbnail, the
Title.
title, and the amount of views it has. And that's about it. So that's what we have. We have a title, an image, and you get to see the downloads. And you also get you get to see how original that creation is. If
But
it,
also,
the
you get the placement inside the feeds as well. So further
Yeah,
to the left
exactly.
is higher rate, well, not higher rated, but higher sorted.
hmm
So
So they're like that's the way we're doing it. And I feel like there's going to be some pushback there, but it really does make a better change, I think, for the feeds.
okay, so let's go through the other things that there were to talk about. Say if I'm not missing anything. So TU16, that was the update that was the big bully of all uh,
Yep.
updates. Is there another update that's like in the foreseeable future, or I know you
I
guys
could.
aren't doing the
Yeah.
3 week
So
cycles anymore.
we're no longer on a TU like the 3 week cycles that we used to be, right? So that's what we meant when we said, in the blog post, we're stopping active development. Um, so the point being there is, yes, there's still like an update getting worked on. It'll definitely be slower going, but we do hope it to be juicy. I mean, the first thing we really want to do and get accomplished is that standalone Project Spark, that's going to get us into the classroom in the education space. So I really feel like that's kind of priority one. We might not see an update until that gets nailed down and accomplished. No, so I don't have an I don't have an ETA for you guys, or what the next update would include. We'll talk about it when we can. Somebody just mentioned an awesome game that I really enjoy.
Buildy Bear Block Stacker?
Yeah,
I had never
Miss
heard of that.
Cat say that is his favorite game because that
Yeah,
is like one of my favorite games too. Because we were, me and Miss Cat were actually competing on that one, so that one's pretty awesome.
I
I
don't
do love
remember that.
that one.
Which one? Which one
That
was
has
that?
like the highest replay value ever because of the leaderboard. It's the one where you like, so you're a bear and you approach this like, kind of like, well, you approach this Yeti and he has like a chainsaw and he chopped a tree down and he asks you, you have to go build a stack as high as you possibly can. So there's like a box area. Um, that's like it's kind of a grid. It's like probably 10 by 10 square area boxes, but that's like where you start building your boxes up. And so there's an area where you spawn a bunch of boxes and then you pick them up and you can start stacking them. And you have to like race against, I think you have 2 minutes to build the highest stack of boxes as you possibly can. It's really fun. It's really, really fun. We featured it like probably 2 months ago now.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that one on stream where you weren't allowed to touch the ground at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you couldn't, the boxes can't fall to the ground and you can't step like there's flowers around it and so you can't, squash the flowers.
gotcha. That's
Yeah.
clever. But
It's really fun.
the topic in chat right now is what's your favorite game inside of Project Spark? So you can't. You're the father of all these creations, so you can't actually pick one. So what are some of your favorites?
Oh man, that's a tough question because
Because you've been the one that's
I have
featuring
played
them.
a lot of creations. I had when you were here at the office, we actually did a printout of a bunch of the people's numbers on like how much playtime, and like my create time was actually not. I think I was like third or something. It wasn't that high. You had like the highest create time, like so
Of
many.
the people that were there in the
Yeah,
office, yeah.
yeah. But I had the highest play time by and a lot of hours into it. But yeah, oh man. Favorite Spark games. This is a lot of pressure, especially because everybody wants me to say theirs. Um, man, I don't know. There's so many.
Omniforce,
Omniforce is awesome.
Project Rex,
Yeah, Project Spark Rex is also super awesome.
uh,
I almost said Project Spark. Ugh.
Project Sparker.
I just start like,
So
yeah,
Infinity,
yeah, or Infected. Come on, Game Jam stuff. Furious Little King. Like, as soon as you start thinking Game Jam, you think
Aeturn
like
Deus,
20
X
different ones.
Zero. Uh,
Yeah, I still really, really, really love Systems Critical or System Critical.
that was the one that made you think you were crazy at one point, right?
Yeah, like where you start hallucinating stuff. That one was really cool.
Gradius Fox is one of the best games ever made. Invasion 2
Yeah,
is it's a good homage to Gradius Fox, I think.
yeah. I have to say, like, I don't know.
Space
It'd
Gunk
be
vs. the Galaxy is your favorite, clearly.
nah, nah. I can't say anything else. I feel like we may be doing a Team Dakota list sooner than later about our top thoughts on creations. So
Well,
I don't want to say anything else.
I have 2 months, and then I have to do the Game of the Year for Spark this year
Mm-hmm.
for 2015. So
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think. So today is October 7th,
yeah,
right? So that is our 1 year date.
yep, the official 1 year release date.
Yeah. Oh man, cheers.
Cheers. I'll drink water.
Grab
Wonderful
a
water. It's not
grab
vodka
whatever
at
you have
all.
on your shelf there. I think you have like shaving cream or something.
That's dust off.
Oh, you can drink that, I guess.
No, it's highly toxic and very cold.
Man, I remember when we can like do a little reminiscing. I remember a year ago, I know I was doing exactly on this date because I was really excited for the release and I immediately got in. So like right, we were getting all this new stuff like Champions Quest and Massive World Builder and
First contact.
yeah, like First Contact and all that kind of stuff. And so I remember like loading it up and being like super confused as soon as I saw the marketplace because they didn't really warn us about like
Oh, the bundles.
Yeah. Well, there was like all the bundles and then like just other stuff. I don't even know.
That was great when Mescat had to break out a Venn diagram in order
Yes, that
to.
was the yeah. So like I did a guide that I posted on the forums and was like the purchasing guide of like what you should do basically versus like if you're a brand new user, it was like get the starter pack because that was
Yeah.
by far the best value. And then it was like if you own everything up until this point, then you need to buy I think it was First Contact was actually one that ended up being you wanted to get separately because it had such a good credit to token ratio.
Yep.
And then it was the Champions Quest Create bundle, and that might have been it. And that might have actually had everything else. I don't know.
It's
It
been a
was there
while.
was so much overlap. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. It
I
was.
remember buying everything individually except for the Champion's Quest,
Yeah,
just
I
because.
remember. Uh, yeah. No, it was. It's kind of funny to think about that now. I would have never guessed a year ago that I'd be on a Sparkcast as Team Dakota.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have guessed that in January or this year.
it was pretty much until he asked you if you were interested in the position that you couldn't imagine it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny. Stuff changes quite dramatically.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. I actually just a year ago I was like just pretty much got promoted at my other job. So I was like all into that and getting prepared for the legislative session, which was coming up in January. And I was super nervous because I was like just got promoted for it and was like the main my senator's main assistant. So I was like super concerned that everything went right.
And then you said, "Peace out, video
And then
games."
I was like, please, I gotta go do video games.
Yeah. And they're like, "We understand complete." Oh my God, not
Actually,
again.
I was definitely like that because it was, I mean, going to work for Microsoft, usually you don't have to do too much explaining. It's like usually that's a pretty good opportunity. So I did not get questioned very much on my decision.
So Lantos wants to make this super serious for a minute and talk about the servers. We covered last week that Brian said for sure it'll at least be 6 months that the servers remain open.
Oh man, he's not very generous. Okay, so this is so I'll give you more insight than that. So I can honestly say like I would say for sure you have guaranteed at least a year for
Really?
sure. Yeah, I would say for sure you have servers for a year. And the reason I would put that for sure is because it's a policy that we pretty much would give you 6 months of warning before servers were shut off. I know that's something we would want to do. We would want to say like give you the warning that 6 months down the road, servers would be turned off. It wouldn't be like, oh, lights going off tomorrow, guys. See you later.
Ah, so you
Um,
guys would have 6 months notice, and for sure you guys wouldn't make that decision for another 6 months anyway. So
Yeah,
that's
so
why you say a
I
year.
exact yeah, I don't think that decision would be made until March or 6 months from now. So this is the truth. This is like the way I see this transition. I'm always really blunt with you guys. Like so now our focus is on education, right? That is like our space that we need to be successful in, and prove that Project Spark has a place of even being there. So I think we have kind of I think of it like we have 6 months to kind of prove that this community is going to stay strong, and then we're going to do really well in education and start making really and like education takes a really long time to make inroads in. But if we start getting really good inroads, I think and start like things start looking like a lot of classrooms might use this in the fall quarter of 2016, right? And things like that. I really do feel like we would be kind of set to continue going. But I really do feel like this 6 months is about seeing, how Spark fits into that education priority and kind of where we go from there. But I think like right, every decision at some point has to get evaluated to see if that was a good choice. And I think also, that would happen in 6 months. And if everything tanks and you guys are all like, man, Project Spark's just not the same, and I don't feel the love to create in it anymore and I want to leave, then you guys all will go and, there's no community and then, there's no reason why this lights wouldn't be turned off. But as long as we keep everything super vibrant and, there's people making awesome things and we make good progress with education, there's no reason why Spark won't continue.
So along those lines, is there any inkling as far as like motivation from you guys to the community to start putting out like really impressive stuff like the game jams have always done,
Yeah, so, well,
or Creation Jam for that matter?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, hopefully, right, like we, as you allude to, right, like, the game jams help with that. So, um, maybe I'll just leave it at that, right? Like we do want to see you guys make awesome stuff, and usually when we're looking for awesome stuff, we do things like game jams. So I'll just leave that there, um, for you guys to chew on. um,
And
uh,
to directly answer Project Sparker's question, if this, let's say hypothetically in 6 months, Microsoft says, "Oh, you guys did great, but we changed our minds about everything and we're going to close things down forever. Okay, bye." And then 6 months after that, the servers go black.
yeah. So how I imagine it would be is, so should that be the case, you would lose all like the sharing, right? But you would still have like offline still exists, and you can still do without connecting to services. I feel like that would continue to be available. I don't feel like it would be pulled from a store
That
or
wouldn't make a whole lot of
available for
sense.
download. Yeah. So you would be able to still create, and then you would use something like Spark Share, what have you, to actually pass back and share creations and do things like that.
Speaking of which, I think Fred and Psycho might get together at some point and basically have a SparkShare hosting on the website.
That'd be awesome. I think I suggested something like that a long time ago, where I'd love to see like a in browser kind of feed thing that plugs it directly into SparkShare, right? Like I think a browser is a lot less intimidating for people, and it's also a point of discovery. Like I don't know, I'm not like a huge app store person. I just don't go into like app stores and browse like apps I would want to get today.
No,
Like
I
that's
don't
just
trust the permissions and stuff like that. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't do that. Like I guess there's just people who consume software like that, and I just have never been like that. Like I get a phone and I'll download at the most like 12 apps in its entire life cycle. Like
and they're usually the
that's
same ones that you used last time that you already knew worked.
yeah, like it's true. Like that's like I don't know. I don't do all that. So, I feel like a in-browser one's really good for discovery. And then if you want like a dedicated app version, and you're going to be using it a lot, then you can go do that there. But
Oh, that's true. SparkShare doesn't work on the Xbox, so Xbox
yeah.
users would be SOL, and they should buy a good PC anyway. That new
I know it's really it's definitely a tough situation for Xbox, because it's very much close, right? And the thing is, if you even create on Xbox, you wouldn't be able to get to your level folder to share to begin with. I mean, I don't know. You could try to do something crazy with Spark Share where it is able to be a universal app, and I don't know how, I'm not in those discussions, right? But maybe when, Windows 10 is technically coming to Xbox One, it's coming in a very different form factor, but maybe they're going to be easier about how file management works and allowing, if you wanted to create an app that plugged directly into it and had developer permission, maybe that would happen, but I don't know.
Alternatively, they could
Just
just buy that really
speculate.
cool laptop that Windows just announced, or that Microsoft just announced.
Yeah. No, oh man, that conference yesterday morning was so good.
I couldn't listen to
I'm
any of
looking,
it.
huh?
I couldn't listen to any of it. My headphones stopped working at work.
Oh no, that's
Yeah.
terrible. Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. I think that was probably Microsoft's best conference they've had in years. They just blew it out of the park on. They had like an awesome, and one more thing moment or whatever those are called, the surprises. Like nobody saw the Surface Book coming, which is really neat. I think it was actually really smart. Like it took me a second to digest it because at first I was like, "Isn't why would you want this? Like you have a Surface Pro 4 and this seems so similar." But me and Brian were talking about it and how we kind of think like you have a tablet. So the Surface Pro is a tablet that's kind of approaching toward being a laptop, right? Like that's what
Hmm.
they're trying to be, a tablet that replaces your laptop. And then the other side is something that was built based on a laptop, and it's how can I be more like a tablet? So it's like they both are coming toward each other, but they're from different angles and perspectives on what they offer.
And so as a result, the laptop as a tablet is much more powerful and it could be used for gaming and stuff like that more
Yeah.
readily.
It also has a bigger price tag, so
Yes, that's true. What,
yeah.
1500?
It starts at 1500, but you have to. So I'm just going off of what I saw on the Microsoft Store and what you could pre-order, like different configurations. It looked like actually the two lowest versions of the Surface Book actually don't have the dedicated GPU until you get up to like 1800 or 1900.
But
Um,
the smart thing to do would, of course, be wait a few years and then get the first edition in a few years. Like
uh,
buying a Surface tablet today is much more affordable than when it first came out.
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, so I don't know. Like it depends on what you want, right? Like it depends on what you're trying to achieve. Kind of like like the first Surface doesn't run Project Spark even, or
That's
it
true.
can't.
It can, but
Um,
not very well, right?
yeah, like really the first one that does Project Spark justice is Surface Pro 3, and you still have to run it with like lowest settings, but you can run it and actually create. Like it's fun to use it on the airport, but or at the airport and when I'm traveling and what have you. But like I got a Surface Pro 3 actually, just personally. It's not a work one. And I got that like I don't know. I waited a little bit after it was announced. I got it like pretty much February this year, late February this year. Um, that was after I had a laptop since 2010. So I had that one for 4.5 years, and it was time. It was telling me that I could hold a charge for about 10 minutes, so I always had to stay plugged in, so it wasn't a laptop anymore, and it was basically a glorified desktop that I could put on the couch. And it was big and bulky. Like I had it in my backpack for college. That was like it was my college laptop, right? And it was heavy enough where eventually like it ended up tearing like the pocket sleeve and stuff in my backpack was like torn from having to hold its weight.
I know how that works.
Yep.
I used to carry on my books in my backpack, so I never had it in my locker. So I had similar issues.
Yep. Eventually your backpacks just can't handle it anymore. Um, so
So
yeah, but it was
back to Spark. The last topic I wanted to bring up with you was the streams going forward.
oh yeah,
So there is going to be a change in format of sorts, like as far as which streams are going to still be shown and when they're shown and so
yeah.
forth. So Tuesday, the tutorial streams are going to be
They're gonna be YouTube videos, so we won't be doing them live streamed anymore. We'll be using that time and basically to put together better quality YouTube videos that are more focused on more planned out. And we've already posted a few like on our channel. We have bigger plans and we have actually more videos recorded than are like currently on our YouTube channel, but we're kind of gonna wait a little bit to put them out there. So yep. So
so you had a
Tuesdays
Boolean
now.
one and a what was the other
Yep.
one?
There's like what is a Boolean and what is a number variable?
Object variable.
Object variable. There you go.
But the Boolean, I was surprised you guys didn't either one do a toggle in there or two use a light switch analogy.
Yeah. I'll be honest. Brian went and recorded those, and I haven't watched them yet, so I'm
Oh.
not sure. I'll have to watch and look at how they went.
Well, that explains
I
all
know
the derogatory things he said
they're
about you.
they're very focused. Yeah, right. They're very focused. I know that, like, just on that topic, and they're trying not to deviate. But I'll have to watch it. I mean, those things like could change, right? We could do an updated, like, once we get feedback, we'd be like, oh, we could just throw up a new, what's a Boolean video, like. That's really not that hard for us to do. So anyway, no, that's cool. So that's what happens with Tuesdays. Thursdays, right, where our content or creation streams. Those won't be continuing forward. We're not sure if we'll end up doing a different type of stream. Um, at this point, we're not. So don't expect things on Thursday. Like tomorrow, we will not have a stream. So just know that. If we do come up with a different live stream that we think would be worth it and people would enjoy, we'll bring it back. But it'll be probably a conversation we continue to have with you guys to find out what would be beneficial. And then we are definitely continuing our Friday Let's Play streams. So that's the guaranteed one that we'll have every week, which is at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And That one we're playing community creations, and that's usually the most fun stream I think anyway. And you get to see varied things every single week, and we're very laid back, and we can, concentrate on, having a fun time as opposed to like worrying about what code tile we forgot about on stream, and we're like, ah. So I think those are really good streams that they're extended for an hour now, so we'll have more time to check things out and spend more time with the levels. So I think that's gonna be really cool. I
Will you
always
guys
thought they
continue to
felt
have
rushed.
guests on the stream, the Friday streams?
Potentially, I wouldn't say right away. I think we're gonna try to hit our rhythm first before we start doing guests and things like that. It'll probably be mainly just me and Brian.
But you could always like get Phil Spencer to do it. I mean, he has nothing better to do.
Yeah, except, do all of Xbox, which is crazy.
That's nothing. It runs itself. So there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. It kind of sprung up a little more of a surprise to me than I thought it was going to be initially. I knew it was going to be changed, but I didn't think people would react so negatively to it. Localization being removed.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised at the negativity that we got. It really makes sense. Like it just, I mean, there's people right who like, I got a lot of Zendesk tickets too on it that were just like, hey, I loaded up Spark, and and they're like coming to me not in English, and they're like, hey, I loaded up Spark, and it's all in English. Like, what happened? What can I do? And of course, it's like terrible because I'm like, localization actually was removed, in the last update. And I think some people will like disagree with our choice to do that, but in the end, we decided that a half localized game is not a good experience, and we'd rather at this point take it out. You know, we don't want to burn bridges with communities versus people who come in and they're just like, why is this game half localized, and never look at it again. We'd rather do localization right and get it implemented, and and put it back in. So that is the goal. We don't want to not be a localized game. We
The
want to
problem with
commit
half
to it.
localized is one, switching back and forth between two different languages in your head. It's
Yeah,
not easy.
yeah,
You have to go
it's not.
between Spanish and English, even as somebody who speaks Spanish a little bit. Un pequeño, ha ha ha. You know, I would not be able to splice those two sentences, do like half sentence in English, half sentence in Spanish, and have it be coherent in my head.
Yeah,
So I can only
exactly.
imagine how it is for someone who's a native Spanish speaker who has to think, did they write this tile in English or is this tile in Spanish? Is this piece of
Yep,
content in English or is this content in Spanish? Did I
yep.
say Spanish twice? Anyway, um,
So I mean, it's a tough call, but I feel like it needed to be done too. Um, it feels like a half localization is an empty promise. That's not a good experience. So, it's not something in the near future that's gonna come. Not next week. We're gonna be like full localization. If that was the case, we would have just waited to do the update and never pulled localization. Um, but we do hope on our radar, and we are probably going to be having to work with the community actually on it, to get localization implemented. So we'll see what we're able to do and accomplish. We're kind of putting together kind of a game plan and how that would look, but yeah,
and the absolute final thing of the night, art.
is is
The
what
art, the concept
art.
art, all
Oh
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
all the stuff that has never been released and will never be released, even though it was partially drawn up. When are you going to give
Yes.
that the huge, I don't want to say huge dump, but huge release of content?
Um, so so you guys might not agree with this. I actually think what I want to do with our concept art is kind of not do a huge dump at all, but rather do a slow trickle of like,
This
you
isn't
know,
getting any better.
I know, yeah. uh, basically a slow release cycle
This
of
isn't, no.
content, um, that
So,
we kind of drop. Here's this cool concept art that we investigated this week, and then maybe the next week after we drop a couple more. But I think it's like fun things to talk about, and to share, and they actually get appreciated. I think if we dropped 200 images on our Pinterest
sure.
today, people would go through it really quickly and never want to talk about it or consume them again.
And
They
what I would
just get
suggest
the
is
overload, and that's it.
you guys have really cool like when I was there, you guys would have really cool backstories between some of the pieces, and if you guys were to either type that up or put it in a video or put it on YouTube while you talk over it, whichever would be easier.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I like to do a blog post kind of like, talk about a particular like concept art release that we do. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the safest, most I think plan that makes sense. Just because I really feel like the concept art would be underappreciated if it was like all dropped at once. So I think we're still waiting on, right? The update just went out on Monday. Today's Wednesday. Like this week is all about kind of letting that settle. People get comfortable, understand what Spark is now in this current moment. We're also still tidying up a few loose ends, right? Like we got to get everybody the rate the times two rate. I'm sure most people haven't noticed that because yes, your start Spark Premium still applies to your account right now. Um, but yes, like so if you don't have Spark Premium, right, you would not have double rate. But everybody's supposed to get a double rate. So we're working on that. A few other cool things that we are doing, which I alluded to earlier, that you'll probably hear more about in the nearish future. Um, yeah.
So I know this said it was the
Somebody
final thing.
mentioned a Project Spark art book. Before we do a Project Spark art book, we would rather do a like learning book, tutorial book on code. Um,
Or a children's
very
book. The little squirrel went to
Yeah. So there's actually a book for Kodu that exists that a lot of teachers use, and having a actual official curriculum book like that is super helpful as a resource when you want to start getting into the classroom.
it seems like it would be
And
pretty easy just to adapt a C book to code.
yeah, or you mean programming like programming language C book?
Yeah, yeah. Like even a book called Fundamentals of Programming.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's something else that's like, guys, always keep that in mind. Like, education is the focus for us right now. So, doing a book like that would be really cool and something we really want to accomplish. Doing the standalone app, getting in the classrooms. By the way, if you are a teacher or if you are a student and would like to see, Spark in your school. So, well, if you're a student and you want to see Spark in your school, like,
Talk to your teacher
definitely
and
talk
get
talk to
them
your
to.
teacher and talk to your your administrators, especially like your IT administrator. That's the IT people and computer science people are the people who typically reach out to us. Let them know about Spark and say you're active in the community and why you think this would be really cool. This is how Project Spark's going to succeed, right? Like word of mouth, if anything. You guys all know we don't have like the biggest marketing budget. I mean,
Biggest, right?
huh?
Right. The biggest is code for the zero marketing budget.
Yeah. Right. So, like, word of mouth's really important in talking about this awesome tool that you guys have really enjoyed with. Like, I mean, it's really convincing when you tell a teacher that, like, hey, I've been using this coding thing and have learned how to program, and I did this all because I enjoyed it and it's fun. Like, that's really powerful, and teachers always are looking for things that feel, that are actually fun and people pursue on their own, right? Like, we've all came to Spark because we wanted to do this. It wasn't because we were sitting in a classroom and were forced to consume this program. I think a lot of us, that's how we experience some of Microsoft's, programs. Gonna
Indeed.
get my little dig in there. But like that's what's cool about Project Spark. So help us on that mission. So let your teachers know, talk to people like that. Um, Also, so if you're a teacher, obviously reach out to us. I'm on Spark Thomas, that's on the forums, or Spark Brian. Send us a PM. Let us know what you want to do in the school. We'll help you as much as we can. We know we're not, we don't have the standalone app yet, and that's like the biggest stopper. It makes it really hard to do installs and deployment. We have some schools who who are on Windows 8.1 or Windows 10, and they, end up doing deployments. It's a little bit trickier with basically they have to get help from to do it on each machine, and it's definitely tough, but it's possible. But reach out to us. We want to be put in contact with you guys. That's why I still have a job. So just kidding. But
But just
yeah.
not kidding. I'm just kidding, but not really. Just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, that's that's definitely a huge thing for us. So reach out to us. Don't be afraid to. That's um, it's definitely our focus going forward. So if you're an educator, definitely reach out to us.
And on that note, we will see you guys back here next week for the next Sparkcast, and then we'll
Yep.
see you guys on Friday for your um, UGC stream.
Yep. Exactly. Wait, did you say we'll see you tomorrow? No, you
Friday.
will not. Yeah, you'll see us on Friday.
Yeah.
Yep. Not tomorrow.
I guess I thought today was Thursday for some reason. Eh,
Yeah.
it happens. All right. So on that note, we will see you guys all in the future. See you guys around. And if you are a teacher, get a hold of either Spark Brian or Spark Thomas, or head over to .org, and I will help hook you up with them.
Yep. And we're also planning just random. I know you're on your exit segue, and I'm totally interrupting it. We are also looking at doing an actual like education forum on .com.
Oh, we went offline like a few seconds ago.
Oh, really?
No,
You
not
already?
really.
Oh, stop messing with me. We're looking to do an education forum to solely focus on resources for education and for people to talk to us about it and for students and things like that. So, if you think that's a bad idea, let me know. But
There's nothing bad about that.
yeah. So something else we'll probably be implementing here in the relatively near future. So, all right, now that's it. Here, I'll Moose, you don't need to do the sign off again. I'll do the sign off. So we will catch you guys on the next one.
All right, cool. So what's the next content pack? No.
That's such a sad thing.
And on
All
that
right.
note,
Yep. Bye, guys.